Hey guys, welcome back to the cabin. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a work video and to share some crazy news. Something really strange happened yesterday. Yeah, birds are back. Super warm out right now. It's probably, I don't know, 17, 18 degrees out. I'm going to take you upstairs right now. The big project this time that we're at the cabin is trying to mouse-proof the attic. So this is the attic space. It goes the entire length of the cabin. It's a really awesome space to store things. Yesterday, I spent the day kind of cleaning everything out. There were lots of tubs and totes and several old bats of insulation up there that I didn't want to use anymore. So all those came out. And now the process of using OSB to kind of build a bit more of a floor up in here. So you can see some of that's already been done. And I'm going to use a bit of hardware cloth to kind of seal in all along here and put some OSB up there as well. So really big job. Seriously stinks up here, not in the loft part, but actually in the attic. Really bad smell from the mouse excrement up in there. So whenever working up in there, you have to wear like a mask and goggles and like coveralls to go in there because there's such a mess. Thankfully, a lot of the stuff up there has been in tubs, so it hasn't been destroyed. But it's just kind of gross. So I want to definitely seal that off from the mice. Here's the hardware cloth that's going to be used. It's a 1/4 inch. Well, actually, that's 1/8 of an inch. Really small, so they can't kind of get through that. This is about a 50-foot roll right there. So that'll kind of go along there and we'll staple that down. But first off, we've got to finish the floor and the ceiling part. So we had to get some more OSB to finish the job, about 8 sheets. You're going to faint when you find out how much these sheets cost. They are now, 4x8 sheets are 66 bucks a sheet. They used to be a heck of a lot cheaper than that, like 14, 15 bucks or something. So horrible, but the job needs to be done. Well, and that's the easy way to get it up into the attic area, is to go through the window. Kind of sucks because sometimes we'll have to do like smaller cuts to kind of piece them together, but that's what all that can do, right? Just like the good old days building the cabin, I was always on measuring and cutting. Here we go again. Well, those cuts are done. Super glad I'm doing this when the black flies aren't out yet. They're out, but they're not biting. So, oh, thank goodness. This is the last, well, you can kind of see them a little bit in the video, but they're not biting me. But that would just drive me nuts trying to do this work. So I think this is the last weekend I can do this before things get really hairy in the woods with all the bugs. All right. So those boards you saw me measuring and cutting down there, they've been installed up here in the attic. So this is just staging this, but this is so the mice can't, like we were thinking originally of doing like hardware cloth all the way along here, but then they could run around the top and still like poop and stuff down here. So this little area is going to go up here, then the hardware cloth will be here. Got to cut some vents throughout there. Yeah, it's looking a lot better up here. When I'm working up here, I wear this mask because it's like hantavirus city up in here. Lots of like excrement. So anyways, really cleaned it up. This is going really well. Now I'm just going to take a break and sit outside. That's the sound of the oven bird. The oven birds are back. Just gotta love those. I'm just on break now. And crazy story I wanted to tell you guys about. Heading on the way up to the cabin, driving along, and all of a sudden this wild animal comes out in front of the car and it looks like it has something in its mouth. So slow down. Notice that it is actually a female groundhog and she's holding a baby groundhog in its mouth, like she's moving it from the den somewhere. So of course you slow down, you think that the, little groundhog's going to kind of keep going across the street to get to the other side. Well, no, didn't want to do that. Basically what it did was it went underneath the vehicle and kept trying to get up into the car itself. Super scary. So I jump out and I see it sort of sitting between the tires, trying to get up in the wheel well, kind of messing around in there. It's got the baby still in its mouth. I'm thinking, what the heck are you doing? So I try to shoo it out from underneath the car. Thankfully, there's not a whole lot of traffic around out here, but anyway, tried to shoo it around. Just kept kind of going around the car and going back for other tires and kind of going up in the wheel well. Like, this is the most bizarre behavior I've ever seen. You'd think it'd be afraid of me, afraid of the car. It wasn't. So it moved the car forward a little bit, and basically the little animal, the groundhog, started moving forward with the car underneath the tires. Like it was just literally walking along with the car, going really slow. And again, keeps trying to get up into the vehicle. So super scary. So still trying to shoo it away from the car. It ends up dropping the little baby. So this little tiny baby, and it's literally really, really small, naked, eyes not open, ears not open, like a little ball basically, went on the ground. So of course I grabbed the little baby, and it's already like really cold, which is not a good sign. Really cold, barely making any noises. Its belly wasn't even like full of milk or anything like that. And of course the mother's still trying to get away up into the car. At this point I have no idea if she's somewhere in the car under the hood, or she ran off. I have no idea. I kind of lost track of things, and I'm hanging on to this little baby who's like so weak and cold. So anyways, nightmare. So basically ended up coming back to the cabin. At this point, I'm still convinced the groundhog is somehow inside the car, and it's like a little female groundhog, not very big. And so I'm convinced she's in the car. So I take the baby, warm it up, give a little bit of maple syrup underneath on its gums to kind of like, you know, give it a little bit of energy. So it starts squeaking again, which is good because I want it to kind of call and see if the mom will come out. So I leave it in a little basket, all wrapped up, nice and warm underneath the car for a while. Car's off, obviously. And you know, we all kind of disappear from the situation, keep the dog away, and see if the mom's going to come back. Well, waited a while, mom does not come back. So now I'm like looking around, opening the hood again, looking everywhere. I cannot find mama groundhog. So next I decided it was a good idea to maybe go back to the site of the original incident and see if we can, you know, keep the warm baby there in like a little box wrapped in blankets with little, you know, like kind of like a little warm. I use actually little like hand pockets, like for your hands, like the little hand warmers that you get for the winter. I put a bunch in there, wrapped it like with little like, you know, towelettes and stuff like that, like little paper towels, and basically tried to keep it warm and seeing if the mom would come back at that site. So baby's all in this little box, exactly where we saw it with the mom. And anyways, left it there, kind of like had some maple syrup, so it was kind of like more active and making little noises and stuff. And we just kind of waited and watched to see if mama groundhog would come back. And after some time, it was very clear that she was not coming back. So had called a few, like a Humane Society, a couple of wildlife rescues, and basically, you know, I couldn't get through. On the one wildlife rescue, their mailbox was full. The other one wasn't going to be open for a while, like doing renovations. And the Humane Society just referred me basically to these wildlife rescues. So I thought, oh boy. I don't know if you know anything about groundhog babies, but, you know, basically they are very dependent on their parents for a while. Like they're almost like puppies. Like they are literally weaned at 6 weeks old. You know, a bit later than puppies actually. And, you know, they stay with their mom for some time. And then of course, once they're off the milk at 6 weeks, then they're on to like veggies and stuff like that in the woods. So yeah, definitely I'm not the person, like I'm not like a mama groundhog. I can't take the best care of it. But I was determined that maybe if I could let it live for like a few days, I could somehow see if I can get in touch again with these folks that their mailbox was full. So cue me driving a couple hours in trip to go find some supplies to take care of it. Basically I went to go get a bottle and some Espalac, which is like mammal, like doggy, you know, milk replacer. So I was doing that, headed out to get that, got a whole bunch of blankets, and I got a little stuffed animal. I was like, okay, I can make it like a little mom. Until I can get some help for it. But unfortunately, by the time I got back, it succumbed. You know, it really wasn't in great shape, and it was already cold from before, even though it was warmed up and had a little bit of, you know, a little bit of sugar solution till I could kind of get some milk replacer for it. It was well on its way to passing on. So it was really sad, very, very sad story. I don't know what the heck was going on with the mom at that time, whether the den was disrupted by a fox or something, and she was kind of running for her life with this little baby, and like the baby was already really cold. So I'm not really sure, you know, whether she'd been on the run with it for a while. It had an empty belly at the time, so it just kind of didn't really have the best chance. And even though I kind of put the baby down, you know, warmed it up and tried to find the mom, like it just, you know, they need their mom like very often when they're that young. Like he was just starting to get hair, and my reading, I have this book of mammals here for North America, and basically said that if they're starting to grow a bit of hair, it's 2 weeks old. So it's probably about a 2-week-old groundhog. But you know, I don't know, its odds of surviving in that kind of a situation were probably very slim. I think she was probably trying to save its life from whatever was raiding the den. Because her behavior to try to get into a car, like up into a car and not afraid of me, was very, very weird. Like, she's obviously very altered and in distress. So I hope, you know, if she's back in that area, like nothing ever popped out of the car. So she's probably back where the whole incident went down. I'm hoping that she rescued the other pups from whatever situation was going on and that she's doing okay. I'll show you where I buried the little man. And there's where he rests in peace. R.I.P. little groundhog baby. Well, my next mission, once finished the attic there, is to plant 100 trees. So I've got about 100 combined trees and shrubs to plant here this weekend. So I've got nannyberry and some willows and red pine and oh my gosh, I forget what else I have. Lots of different trees and shrubs. So I'm just kind of scouting around to see where to put them because of course I kind of run out of places, but lots of real estate here, so we'll figure out where to put it. And the ticks are out, so I gotta be careful. I forgot to mention on the baby groundhog, I actually removed a seed tick. It was like a really, really teeny one. I was kind of feeding a little bit. So yeah, they are out. So every night I check myself, and I'll be having a shower tonight because of all the mouse stuff being up in the attic there. So the water is running now. It gets skirts at freezing at night now, but it's really not having heavy frost. So I'm really not worried about the pipes freezing there in our shower house. All right, she's done. Chose not to film all of it here. It's just, oh, it was just so much work and crowded work and just trying to finagle this hardware cloth. Rolled everything down here and just used the old staple gun there and stapled it on. And there's a little bit of OSB right here, just on top of just like a little flap there of the hardware cloth. The back is all hardware cloth back there as well. And you can see all the hardware cloth here. There's just a 2x4 stored there. So now the mice can mess around in here, but they cannot access in here, which is where everything's going to be stored in tubs, you know, paddles and kerosene heater and building materials that need to stay dry. This is now going to be completely mouse proof. And if I turn around here, you can see OSB now. All along here, there's no more exposed insulation. And just a little bit of trim on there to kind of seal up any gaps. Put a little bit of construction glue in there. You saw earlier. And most important thing, some vents. I've got vents that go all the way along up here. Just because you don't want any condensation to kind of get on the back sides of these. So vents go all the way along. So this is great. Couldn't be happier. Well, I'm super happy that project is done. Hopefully the mice stay out of that. I can't see how they can get in there. So right now I'm heading off into the woods towards the bay. A little project on hand right now is to fix the dock. I have a little dock down there. Put a few little plastic barrels to kind of hold it afloat, but I think there's been some leaking. You know, they're old olive barrels, so just some leaking where you kind of open up the barrel. So I'm going to silicone those up and use some all around to strap them down and get the dock back in shape for the summer. As I head down to the bay, take a look, some false morels. Can't wait for the non-toxic morels to come up. Shouldn't be too much longer. So these are the barrels that I'm talking about. I think a bit of water is getting in through this right here. So just got to put a little bit of silicone seal, screw them back on, and that should do the trick. I can't see that they're leaking anywhere else. And there's the dock right there. So we'll flip this over, and after we sort of just strap down those little barrels, and she'll float. And that's how I get in and out of the canoe and just sit on there to enjoy sunset. Sort of western exposure over here. So yeah, water in the bay is really high. Last time I was here, you guys remember, it was empty and there was snow. So that was not too long ago. So yeah, summer is almost around the corner. All right, so there's some silicone here. And I'm just gonna put some around the threads here by the seal. The seal's old on these, so that's why it's leaking. And then I'll screw it into the barrel again. There you go. Alrighty. Just do this finger tight and then I'll tighten it up a little bit firmer later. I'm just going to tighten this with this pocket knife. There we go. Tight as I can go. There we go. There we go. That's good. That one didn't. Oh my god. I think Royce is doing a little bit of a logging in the background. All right, so the dock's flipped over. So now got to put the barrels alongside here and we'll strap them down with the round awl. This is what I'm using, the 3/4 inch 20 gauge all round, and cut 8 strips of it there, one to go around each end of the barrel. So let's install those. Okay, so there you go. So I just give a little close up there of how it was done. It's in there nice and securely. So we just got to do 3 more like that. And then this is a cheap way of making a dock. Well, not so much with lumber these days, but this dock's pretty old. And just getting some old olive barrels, food grade barrels, and seal them up and put round all on them so that they stay put. And there it is, all done. Wasn't too bad at all. So now I'm just gonna leave it like this so that the silicone has a chance to dry. As you'll notice, I put the little openings up high, so when the water level's here, it's not going to compromise what we've done. Give that extra chance not to fill the barrels with water and sink the whole thing. So yeah, next time you guys will see this will be out on the water, floating around, and I'll be on my little chair, enjoying the nice view. Well, it's official. Got my first black fly bite. Ugh. Got everything done just in time. He always has to run by the spot with a stick, pretty much taking my legs out every single time. You can see the forest flower ephemerals are out here. Little spring ephemerals. There is the trout lily. And there's some asters there, Royce's favorite woodland snack. Pretty soon we're going to be seeing a lot of bracken fern up in here. This trail is full. Bracken fern can get really, really tall. You know, they're kind of like up to here on me. I don't really eat the fiddleheads of those. I do look for ostrich fern, so fiddleheads. So those are out right now as well. They taste a lot like asparagus. I just adore them. I still have a lot in my freezer actually from last year. I harvested a lot, so I don't think I'll take too many this year, but they are very, very tasty. Well, it's the following morning and a lot of great work done on this camp visit, work camp. Next up is to plant some trees and shrubs. So every year I put about 100 trees or so into the ground, bare rootstock. So this year I've got lots of different trees. Let's go take a look at what I have. Okay, so here they are all laid out. These are some willow. These ones actually came as these little plugs right here. You can see there's like a little cutting of a branch and they've sprouted there. So that's really cool. I've got 20 nanny berries, so these are really great fruit, not only for us, but also for wildlife. So 20 of those are just little guys. Got about 20 dogwood right there. There's some paper birch, and we finish up this year with a bit of red pine. Pine do really, really well here, so got about 20 of those as well. So time to get these guys in the ground. So these guys are really easy to put in the ground because they're bare rootstock, so except for the little plugs, obviously. But basically, you take a big shovel, you just tramp it in the ground, and make a wedge, and you just sort of stick them in the ground there. So super duper easy. So I've got a little island right here, and I've already pre-dug a whole bunch of holes. Let's take a look, and I'll show you. Here's one right there. So see, it's just like the shape of the shovel going in the ground right here. I'll show you how easy it is to put these guys in the ground. This morning there was heavy frost on the ground, but these guys will be okay. They're just they're trees that are normally opened up this time of year, so they're not going to get any frost damage of concern. So another thing about this spot where I'm putting the trees is there's a lot of snakes actually. There is a little den, a little hibernacula and a chipmunk hole just to my left, and they love kind of hanging out in this little bit of habitat here. So give them a little bit of trees over the next coming years. All right, so this is super easy. You just stick them in the ground like that. Tuck in all those roots. Make sure it's quasi-straight. Make sure the dog doesn't nip off the top. Hey, out of my shot. There we go. And then you're sort of holding it up a little bit. You just sort of squish down. You just sort of squish down the ground like that. And it's planted. Very good. Now you can also put like a little Some people will put like a little hemp cloth or something around here to kind of keep the grass at bay. I'll probably go around with a little whippersnipper and keep the grass down so there's no competition. The spot gets a lot of sunlight and of course a lot of rain when it rains, so this will be a great spot for them. Well, I've got a lot of work ahead of me, so we'll get doing this. And thank you guys so much for joining me on today's work camp adventure. Fingers and toes crossed, we've got the rodent situation under control. Hope you guys have a great week as always. Take care.